Time to preview some Minnesota Vikings football, damn it. Week 1, the Atlanta Falcons at US Bank Stadium to take on your Minnesota Vikings. How do your Vikings match up with the Falcons, and how can they get a victory on Sunday? We'll talk about that right now. Let's start with their defense. Obviously, the whole Atlanta Falcons roster is managed by, or at least coached by, head coach Dan Quinn. On the defensive side of the ball, they've got guys like Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett, Desmond Trufant. They've got some players, okay? Now, what I will say is they play with a lot of energy. They're fast. They're fierce. But where the area of opportunity lies at with them is that they can be a bit reckless at times. So if you're methodical in your approach, you can move the ball up the field on them. I would say they're a bend but don't break defense, as in on first. Now, everything that I'm saying, my analysis on the Atlanta Falcons as a whole is based on what I've seen in the preseason with their first teams. So what I mean in the sense that if you're methodical in your approach, you can move the ball up the field on them. First and second downs, they're a bit shaky. They can lack discipline, especially on the containment side. If you do a little bit of misdirection here, maybe some screen passes there, that's where you can really, really start to break them down. But where they really shine at is on third down. They're very, very sharp on third down. Their third down defense in the preseason was second in the entire NFL. Granted, that's also including the backup defense and the backup to the backup defense, as well as players who are no longer on the team. So take it with a grain of salt, yes, but I'm specifically talking about their first team defense. They're incredibly sharp on third down. So you've got a mastermind in Gary Kubiak. You've got Kevin Stefanski calling plays, which I do trust him. So as long as you're smart in your approach and you're methodical in it, you can move the ball up the field. If you are showing some sort of brain farts on the field, or if you make a mistake here or there, if you're Kirk Cousins, he has a tendency to do that. They will make you pay. The Atlanta Falcons defense, they will make you pay, whether it's a pick six or a fumble return for a touchdown. Like I said, they play with a lot of energy. They've got this guy, number 98, I believe his number is defensive end, Takaris McKinley, who is probably one of the more amped up players in the entire NFL. So if he makes a play, he's going to let you know about it. He's going to smack the ground and really just energy feeds energy. So it breeds energy amongst each other. So that defense, when they make a play, they all get charged up for it. So you got to be careful with that. Their defense as a whole is pretty decent. That third down defense is really, really sharp. You can't make any mistakes. Next, let's get to the offense. But before we do that, if you're looking for day after game coverage on your Minnesota Vikings game, so whenever the Vikings play, the very next day, I will react to it, the double R play of the games, which players stuck out, which players look like ass on the field. I do it all. You can find that on my personal YouTube channel, Realistic Randy. You can just search Realistic Randy, and you'll find it there. Okay, now that we're done with that, their offense. So we already know about Matt Ryan, who really, when we talk about some of the best quarterbacks in the league, when we kind of put off that listing of tier rankings with quarterbacks, Matt Ryan really gets overlooked a lot, and I'm guilty of this too, but he really is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We obviously know about Devontae Freeman. We know about their receiving weapons. I say this all the time that the Vikings have the best receiving duo in the league. I would say that the Atlanta Falcons have the best receiving trio in the league, and Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and Calvin Ridley. So they've got a lot of playmakers on their offensive side of the ball. Now, here's the problem, and this brings up the theme of the game for your Minnesota Vikings against the Atlanta Falcons. Your theme of the game on Sunday, take out the trash, as in their offensive line. Let me tell you guys something right now. I've talked about how I feel good about the Vikings offensive line. I know a lot of people are still like, well, you know, they still stink, and Pat Elflein. I think Pat Elflein has been okay. I think he's been, at the very worst, or at the very midway, a league average left guard. So I will take that. But as much as we want to complain, not me, but as much as, just hypothetically speaking, as much as some people may want to complain about the Vikings offensive line, y'all better be thankful, because the Atlanta Falcons offensive line is god awful. They are some straight trash. They give up so much pressure to where Matt Ryan is constantly under duress, to where he's making errant throws or errant passes that he doesn't want to make, or he's taking hits making good throws, and their run blocking isn't it isn't much better either. And the problem is they're so bad to where when they finally do get progress, when they finally do make plays, oftentimes their offensive line, the play gets called back because of penalties from their offensive line, holding, things like that. So Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter, Linval Joseph, Shamar Stephens, Stephen Weatherly, all those guys that are going to go out there, pin your ears back and just go. Go after them. You should take advantage. You should feast on this offensive line. I'm telling you, the run blocking isn't good. Their pass protection is much, much worse than that. So now you just got to worry because they're going to take chances. Teams like that, they get desperate at times. So they performed this in the preseason to where fourth down, they did a fake punt. So they did a fake punt, direct snap, and dude ran it for a first down. Teams that suck with their offensive line and they can get no progress on offense, they rely on trickery like that. So you got to be really careful. And at times I talked about how the last podcast I talked about how Kirk Cousins, you need to trust your receivers if things start to break down and you don't know what to do. Before you just have a brain fart and just fumble it, like, oh, I don't know what to do, and then smack, fumble, return for a touchdown, throw it up to your receivers. Matt Ryan, he will do the same thing. So you got to be wary if you're the cornerbacks and the safeties back there. Just be aware of those jump ball situations that he's going to throw. It's going to happen. You just need to be ready for it. So honestly, on offense for the Vikings, just be methodical, just be smart, just use trickery from here to there. Just have a game plan with one play here and the next two plays after that. Just be super, super smart in your approach and you'll be fine. Third down, don't make any sort of mistakes because they will make you pay. If they show energy, if they show flash, you have to ignore it because if you let it get into your psyche, then you're done for the rest of the game. So on offense, I think you're good with that. On defense, go after Matt Ryan. Maybe even bring a couple of blitz packages once in a while, whether it's Anthony Barr, because he's good at finding the gaps, but if he engages with a blocker. But then again, with this Falcons offensive line, he could probably look like Khalil Mack out there, but you can get a lot of pressure on this team, on Matt Ryan. They showed it throughout the entire preseason. They didn't look good, not one time, their first team offensive line. And once you shut that down, you shut the rest of the offense down. You guys should win this game. The Minnesota Vikings should win this game. I'm going to say by a score of 21-10. I'm going to say 21-10. And it's going to be 21-3 for the most part, but they'll score a touchdown late to when the game is already over. So I'm going to say 21-10. You should win this game. We'll see. We do this 3 times a week. Mediocre at Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Catch me on Twitter at realistic_Randy. Again, my personal YouTube channel for reacting the day after the games. Realistic Randy. You'll see it there. We'll see you then.